This production is an educational radio drama brought to you by BWTV, a student organization of Baldwin Wallace University. This production is not monetized. Presenting A Gun for Dinosaur.
Just whiskey, please. No soda.
Mr. Rivers, you want some ice?
God, no.
Well, to a fine dinosaur, eh?
Well, now, just a moment, Mr. Sullivan. I won't take you hunting late Mesozoic dinosaurs.
Why not?
How much you weigh? 120-something pounds?
130 pounds.
Yeah, I thought so. Sorry, but that's just not heavy enough.
By your advertisement, you said safaris arranged to any time period, right?
Well, I'll take you to any period in the Cenozoic. I'll get you a shot at any entelodont or even mammoth or mastodon, and they have fine heads. But I won't take you to the Jurassic or the Cretaceous. You're just too small.
Well, what's my weight got to do with it?
Look, what did you think you were going to shoot the dinosaurs with?
Well,
Well, look here in this case. That's my own gun. A Continental 600 that shoots a pair of Nitro Express cartridges the size of bananas. It's designed for knocking over elephants. Not just wounding them, but knocking them completely over.
Well, now, I've handled guns, you see.
Oh, yeah? Look, I've been guiding hunting parties for over 20 years, but I've never known a man your size who could handle the 6-0 and knocks them over.
People have killed elephant with lighter guns, even a 73.
Yeah, but think about this. An elephant weighs, let's say, 4 to 6 tons. You're planning to shoot reptiles that weigh 2 to 3 times as much as an elephant. I'll tell you, Mr. Sellerman, I won't take anybody hunting dinosaurs who can't handle a 6-0. Look, let's just pour another drink and I'll tell you all about it. You see, I went into a partnership with my friend Carl about 5 years ago. We both wanted to do a bit of hunting again, so when we heard of Professor Prochaska's time machine at Washington University, we caught the next plane to St. Louis. The foundation administering the machine had worked out an arrangement splitting the time between scientific parties and hunters who wanted to try their luck at some prehistoric game. Hunters paid through the nose, of course, to support the project. Well, it was about our 5th safari that Courtney James showed up. He's what you boys call a playboy. Big guy, handsome in a way, florid, getting to turn fat. He was on his 4th wife, and when he showed up at the office with a blonde, I assume this was the 4th, Mrs. James, he left her in the outer office and corrected my assumption.
Oh, Bunny? Oh, no, she's not my wife. My wife's in Mexico, I think, getting a divorce. But Bunny here would like to go along.
Sorry, but we don't take ladies, especially not to the late Mesozoic era.
If she wants to go, she'll go. She skis and flies my airplane, so why shouldn't she?
There are enough risks at 85 million BC without adding to them. I'm sorry, but it's just against the firm's policy.
Now look here, I'm paying you a lot of money. I'm entitled.
You can't hire me to do anything against my best judgment. Now, if that's how you feel, get another guide.
All right. But let me tell you.
It ended with my telling him to get out of the office or I'd throw him out. I was thinking, sadly, of all the lovely money that James would have paid me when in came one August Holtzinger. Slim, bald guy with glasses.
Mr. Rivers, I don't want you to think I'm here under false pretenses. I'm really not much of an outdoorsman, and I'll probably be scared to death when I see a real dinosaur.
Well, most of us are frightened at first, but it doesn't do to speak of it.
Well, you see, I've always run a grocery store till my uncle died, and, I've got a great deal of money now.
Uh-huh.
I'm building a new house. I'm engaged, getting married, and, I'm determined to hang a dinosaur head over my fireplace, or die in the attempt, if you know what I mean. A Ceratopsian, I think. That's the one with the big horned head and the frill all over the neck, isn't it?
Well, you might want to think twice about that. If you put a 7-foot Triceratops head into a small living room, there's apt to be no room left for anything else.
I know it's ridiculous, but I'm determined to do something big for once. Since there's no more real big game hunting, I'm going to shoot a real dinosaur and hang its head over my mantel. I'll never be happy otherwise, I swear.
Carl and I decided to make it to the Middle Cretaceous. That's about, 85 million years ago. It's the best period for dinosaur in Missouri, so we drove Holtzinger into the country to let him try the 6-0.
It's rather heavy.
Look, you look out, there's quite a kick.
Couldn't you fire it prone?
Oh, not a gun that big, there's not enough give. You'd break your shoulder. Alright, take the safety off.
Like this?
Here, I'll help you up.
Thank you. I think I better try something smaller.
Well, he took a fancy to my Manchester 70, chambered for a 375 Magnum cartridge. It's a little light for Elephant, and definitely light for Dinosaur, but we were in a hurry. And then, of course, just before we were ready to trek, James showed up and apologized for insulting me. He had a run-in with the girl, and he wanted to go along, and so we were off on a safari. You all ready, gentlemen?
Why, yes, I suppose so.
Now, Mr. Holtzinger, you've met my partner, Carl.
How do you do, sir? Well, shall we get cracking? After you, Mr. Holzinger, Mr. James.
Thank you. Let's get going, okay?
All set.
We'll slam the hatch, and off we go.
What happens?
Nothing till the force field is built up. There she goes.
What happened to the lights?
Well, there's no current while we're in transition.
I don't feel very well.
There's usually a touch of vertigo. I shouldn't worry about it.
Look, where do you shoot for? I mean, with Dinosaur, what's the best shot?
Well, you don't try for his brain, you know. They don't really have any. Well, to be exact, they do have a little bump the size of a tennis ball on the top of their spines, and you're not likely to hit it when it's embedded in a 6-foot skull.
Try for the heart. They have big hearts, over 100 pounds. An exploding shell in the heart will slow them down, at least.
I see. Yes. Why do we have to go so far for game? Why couldn't we just go back 50 years and shoot lions in Africa?
Well, the machine won't work more recently than 100,000 years ago.
Why?
Well, I'm no four-dimensional expert on the subject, but it has something to do with, they call it time paradox. You know, if people could go back to recent times, they might do something to affect history or kill their own grandfather, you know. And there's also some kind of taboo about sending people back to the same time again. It's paradoxes. Can't have them.
What would happen?
I'm not sure, but the university isn't taking any chances. They've got about 1 billion years to cover. They won't run out of eras. There we go. Alright, cheers, huh? Well, that's done it. April 24th, 85 million years BC. Now then, be careful, keep the safety on your gun, and don't shoot unless I give the word.
Why? Why should we have to wait for you?
Because I'm responsible for everything you do, especially if something goes wrong. I say, Carl, open the door, would you? In this period, the time chamber materializes on top of a rocky rise. At the west, you see the arm of Kansas Sea that reaches across Missouri and the big swamp where sauropods live. To the east, the land slopes up to a plateau. It's good for ceratopsians. The finest thing about the Cretaceous is the climate. It's balmy like the South Sea Islands, not so muggy as the Jurassic. Oh, we sent the time chamber back off and looked about. It was spring, with the dwarf magnolias in bloom all over. Down towards the Kansas Sea, cycads and willows grew, while the uplands were covered with screw pine and ginkgos. Yeah, well, I'm no ruddy poet, but I can appreciate a beautiful scene.
I got him!
What the hell?
Did you see it there? Did you see it?
Found it, you idiot. I told you not to shoot without a word from me. And what happened?
An ornithomimus wandered out of the thicket. Mr. James gave him both barrels. Missed.
Look here, James. One of the biggest dangers on a safari is a trigger-happy idiot who gets panicky. You're not to shoot unless you're told. Do you understand?
Who do you think you are to tell me when to shoot my own game, huh?
Look, first of all, if you shoot off all of your ammunition before the trip is over, your gun won't be available in a pinch. And secondly, if you empty both barrels, what would happen if a big theropod should charge you before you could even reload? And finally, it's not sporting to shoot everything in sight. Is that clear?
All right.
Now then, first task is fresh meat. As I told you, Holtzinger wanted a ceratopsian head. James insisted on a Tyrannosaur, then everybody would think that he'd shot the most dangerous game. The fact is, the Tyrannosaur is a bit overrated. Everybody's read about the tyrant lizard, and well, he does have the biggest head of the theropods, but he'll snap you up if he gets the chance, no fear. We started off searching for meat. Carl and I put the idiots in front. We tell them it's so they'll get their first shot, which is true, but another reason is that they're always tripping and falling with their guns cocked, and if the guy were in front, he'd get shot.
Boneheads.
Where?
See, crouching over there. Feeding on those psychods, about the size of a man.
They look intelligent.
No, not likely. That bulge on their head is solid bone. Now then, hold on there. James, you've had your shot for the day. Hold your fire till Holzinger shoots.
Yeah, sure.
All right, go ahead, Holzinger.
Does it matter which one?
No, here, try that one by the rock. It's a good, clear shot. Take your safety off.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead.
Well? Ah, crap, I've had enough of this.
James, don't.
I got him clean, right through the heart. First shot, how was that?
Thought you were going to give Holzinger the first crack. It's his turn.
Well, I waited, took so long that I thought I'd gotten buck fever.
All right. But if this sort of thing happens once more, we're leaving you at the camp the next time we go out. The next couple of days, we trekked around the neighborhood and then headed over to Sarpod Swamp over to the west. We were staked out along the edge of the lake, watching a big beggar out in the swamp waving his head about. They're the big ones. They look something like the Dinosaur.
Can't we shoot him?
I wouldn't.
Why not?
Well, there's no point to it. It's not sporting. Look, if you kill one in the water, he sinks and can't be recovered. If you kill one on land, well, the trophy is that little head on top of that long neck. Can't bring that whole beast back because he weighs 30 tons or more.
That museum in New York got one.
Oh, yeah, but they sent a party of 48 to the early Cretaceous with a 50 caliber machine gun. They spent 2 solid months hacking and sawing the carcass apart and hauling it to the time machine. I know the guy on the project, and he still has nightmares in which he smells the decomposed dinosaur. And they also had to kill a dozen big theropods who came in for the party. Then they had them lying around, too. They lost 3 men.
Reggie, Duckbill.
Where are they?
Up there at the shoreline. Now keep your voices down. You see, with the crest on the back of their heads.
Mr. Evers, I've been thinking over what you said about these heads. If I could get one of those duckbills, I'd be satisfied. It'd look big over my mantle, wouldn't it?
I'm sure it would. Let's go. Carl, you wait here with Mr. James. Shouldn't take us long. Holt and I crept along the shoreline, narrowing the range to the duckbills.
I think I can make the shot from here. I'll be ready in a minute. My shoe is loose. He's getting away. I won't get a shot.
I'm afraid Mr. James has fired both barrels again.
James, that's the second time you spoiled my shot. Don't be a fool. I couldn't let them wander into camp, stamping everything flat.
There was no danger of that. You can see the water is deep offshore. It's just that our trigger happy Mr. James can't see any animal without shooting it.
And if it did get that close, all you have to do is throw a stick of firewood at it. They're perfectly harmless.
Well, how was I to know?
Pretty sure I mentioned it.
Well, what are we on this miserable trip for, except to shoot things?
There's rules.
You call yourselves hunters. I'm the only one who's hitting anything.
Now just hold on, old man. You're a moron with more money than brains. Should have never brought you along.
If that's how you feel, give me some food and I'll go back to base by myself.
Now don't be a bigger ass than you can help. It's pretty impossible.
All right, I'll go alone. I wouldn't want to pollute your air with my presence.
That's an attractive thought, Reggie, but we can't let him go. He'd get lost or starve. All right, I'll go after him.
We stumbled along for several more days, James on his good behavior for a change. We were panting and sweating like horses when I picked up the smell of carrion and heard the thrumming of flies. We found a huge ceratopsian lying dead in a little hollow on the edge of the copse. He must have weighed 6 or 8 tons alive.
Why couldn't I have gotten him before he died? That would have made a darn fine head.
Look, on your toes, boys. The theropod that's been at this carcass is probably nearby.
How do you know?
See, the hide's been ripped off and the bones are scattered. Theropods will hang around a carcass like this for weeks, gorging and then sleeping their meals off for days at a time.
Well, what do we do?
Well, that's what we came after. Carl, you take Mr. James through that way and we'll parallel you 40 feet distant. Now keep your eyes open. It'll be hard to see in these woods unless you're right on top of them. We pushed through the edge of the thicket, looking for the huge flesh eater who'd been at the carcass. I could hear James and Carl pushing ahead on my right. We were separated by a gully when I heard a noise on our left.
What is it?
I don't know. Take the safety off your gun.
Oh, it is one of those boneheads.
Well, they're not dangerous, at any rate. Be careful, that theropod might still be around.
I got him clean.
And he's done it again. He shot the bonehead.
I got him.
Look out! Look out! Dinosaur!
Dinosaur heaved its head out of the shrubbery just in front of us. The scientists can insist that the Rex is bigger than Trionyx, but I'll swear this Tyrannosaur was bigger than any Rex ever hatched. It must have stood 20 feet high, been 50 feet long. I could see his big, bright eye and 6-inch teeth. He'd been sleeping off his last meal, and James fired off both barrels over his head at the bonehead and woke it up.
Get back! Get back, you fool!
Carl can't get a shot. There goes the beast in behind those ferns. Holtzinger! Holtzinger! Come back! Your gun's too light for that beggar! James came bolting back in a panic and blundered into Carl, sending both of them sprawling under the ferns. The Tyrannosaur came after them to snap them up. Holtzinger began to blaze away. He got off 3 shots to the beast's body with that little light gun. The Tyrannosaur whirled around to see what was stinging it. The jaws came open, the head swung around and down again. Holtzinger got off 1 more shot and tried to leap to one side. The Tyrannosaur continued its lunge and caught him in his jaws as he fell.
Reggie! Reggie!
Stand clear.
Ours the only chance.
It's no use. There he goes. Try a long shot. Missed him clean. Poor Holtzinger.
Well, that's the end. He stopped screaming. Did you notice?
Oh yeah, well, I expect we best track that thing. He might be dying. We should try to recover his remains.
Yes, there's nothing else we can do.
Bad show all around. An hour later, we gave up and went back to the glade looking very dismal.
Where are you two been?
We were occupied. The late Mr. Holtzinger, remember?
You shouldn't have gone off and left me. Another of those stupid things might have come back along. Isn't it bad enough to lose one hunter through your stupidity?
What?
Sure, you put us in front of you. If anybody gets eaten, it's one of us. That's...
You little swine. If you hadn't been a first-class idiot and blown those 2 barrels again, this would have never happened. Holtzinger died trying to save your worthless life, and I wish he'd failed.
Why you oughta...
Alright, well, I'm glad you did that. It gives me a chance I've been waiting for. Alright, now get up and I'll be glad to finish you off.
You won't finish anyone off, alright? Put your hands up. Both of you.
Put that gun away. Don't be an idiot.
I won't let anybody do that to me.
You can't get away with murder.
Why not? Won't be much left of you after you're hit with a 600 explosive shell. Nobody could prove anything. They can't hold you for murder 85 million years ago. Statute of limitations, you know.
Nice work, Carl.
Yes, Cretaceous rock. Doesn't quite have the balance of a cricket ball, but it's a bit harder.
Well, suppose we tie this guy up and take him back to camp. When the time transition chamber finally arrived, we fell over one another getting into it. We dumped James in a corner and threw the switches.
You two should have killed me back there.
Why? You don't have a particularly good head.
You wouldn't look at all good over a mantle.
You can laugh, but I'll get you someday.
Close quarters, isn't it?
Someday, I'll find a way. I'll find a way and get off scot-free, too.
Man, if there were some way to do it, I'd have you charged with Holzinger murder. Look, you best let well enough alone.
No, I'll kill you. Both of you. Somehow.
You want a cigarette, Carl?
Thanks.
When we came out in the present, we handed him his empty gun and off he went. He paid everybody off and found that we were broke. But quite luckily, a steel manufacturer turned up who wanted a mastodon head for his den. While we were standing in the laboratory at the university waiting for the time chamber, the technician, he's a bookish kind of guy, theoretical temporal physicist, was watching his dials and scopes.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Rivers, you just missed him.
Missed who?
That last client of yours, Mr. James.
Oh, that's good. What's he doing here?
Oh, he told me quite a tale. Said he lost his wallet back there. That contained some very valuable papers. It must have been very valuable. He paid the university's fee of $5,000 for the use of the chamber. He's on his way back here now.
Back where?
Well, he told me to send him back a few minutes before you arrived the last time. Then he could see himself drop the wallet.
He's gonna stand there and watch himself come out? Oh yeah, but doesn't that create a paradox or something? What happens when a man tries to occupy the same time twice?
Well, to be completely honest, sir, we don't know. It has never been tried before. We've tried to warn him, but he insisted.
Yeah, I know, he's stubborn. What do you think he'd chance it just for the sake of a wallet? Was he armed?
Yes, he had a 375 Express.
375. That's odd. He knows it's too light for a dinosaur.
Yeah, but it's not too light for a man. Carl, you don't think Mr. James is lurking behind a bush back there until we show up again and planning to pop us as we step out, do you?
That's impossible. We already did step out of the chamber, and nothing happened.
Yeah, but that was before Mr. James was waiting with an express rifle cocked. Hey, Doctor.
You mean he's planning to murder the two of you?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't suppose there's anything you could do to stop that process now.
Nope, it is too late. The chamber's in transition now. Look, hadn't you better get out of here before he kills you?
Well, there's no point in running. If Mr. James' theory is right, we've both been dead for 85 million years. We might as well wait and see what happens.
Transition port coming up.
Well, it's been quite a world up to this point, huh, Carl?
Yes, quite.
Here goes.
Reggie, you alright?
I seem to be. What happened?
The time chamber. It's back. We better get it open.
Good Lord, look at that.
Ghastly, isn't it? Where did it come from?
I'm not sure. But I rather think it came from the Middle Cretaceous era. It wasn't here a moment ago.
Ghastly mess. Looks as if every bone has been pulverized and every blood vessel burst.
I dare say, but that's his gun, all right. It's definitely James, there's no doubt of that. So that's the story, Mr. Sullivan. Of course, I don't understand the mathematics, but the idea is rather easy to grasp. Nobody had shot us when we first emerged on the 24th of April, 85 million BC. So, of course, that couldn't be changed. The instant James started to do anything that would make a paradox, the space-time forces snapped him forward and ripped him to pieces. Well, they know a good deal about that now, and there's a safety margin of 500 years between each trip. Can't have paradoxes, you know. Just isn't done. And you see, I'm a lot more careful now. I shouldn't have taken James when I knew what a spoiled, unstable sport he was. Or Holzinger either, when I saw he was too small to shoot a dinosaur gun. With a heavier gun, he'd have knocked the T-Rex down and saved his own life. So, Mr. Seligman, that's why I won't take you to that period to hunt. I'm sorry, but you're just too light. You're not big enough to handle a gun for a dinosaur.